Hello, everyone, and welcome to the fourth ever Flutter Brigade Roundtable. Joining me again, as always, are my co-hosts, Ed.
Hey everybody, glad to be back and glad to not be sweetie botting anymore thanks to my new mic, so it's good to be back, yeah.
And my other co-host, Mon.
Hello everyone. Nice to see you all again.
Yeah. So, normally what we do on this podcast here is we open up with the episode review, but we're going to change it up here this week as there are much more important things that have happened in the fandom, and it's been pretty much a sad weekend for our beloved Jan Animations. Got a cease and desist order, so I think this is something we need to just jump right into. Guys, what do you think about the whole cease and desist order on Jan Animations?
Mon, how about you go first? Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Honestly, as someone who kind of, and we don't shy away from a lot of topics here at the roundtable. As someone a little bit more to the left of the spectrum on, the political spectrum, I honestly, I thought it was kind of both sad and infuriating at the same time, because I mean, as many people who haven't even been in the fandom a whole long time know, but most who have been in the fandom for a long time, as most of us have, over 2 years for some of us, we know that cease and desist orders from Hasbro aren't new news. It's not a new thing. It's just more now that it seems to be intensifying in terms of who they're targeting. At first they seem to be targeting, projects that are that got clout, but maybe that weren't as developed at the time. I mean, if you take, for example, Fighting is Magic, I mean, at the time, it was sort of in its, I think when it was actually taken down, it wasn't really past much of the beta stage. I'm not exactly sure how it was labeled at the time, but, I think Flutters would know that better, because he actually followed that. But as far as I know, yeah, they took that down while it was still developing, and they got the cease and desist order while that was still developing. And more recent news, I mean, like the Fighting is Magic thing happened back in, I think, early 2013. Whereas, like, with the whole Down with Molestia movement actually succeeding, and taking, having the Molestia blog taken down, it's, that's more recent. But I mean, the main point is, this isn't new news, and it's really just infuriating because Hasbro technically does, I mean, I get where Hasbro's coming from. They technically, according to the law, have a legal duty to protect their trademark. It's a registered trademark, and yes, they have to protect it. But I think that the fact that we have those laws in place still for certain things is kind of antiquated, and it's kind of, I get why they exist, but at the same time, it's frustrating that they do exist. I guess that's where I stand.
Yeah, I can see exactly where you're coming from, and I can agree pretty much with everything that you just said, but I'll cover my side in just a minute. Ed, what are your thoughts about the cease and desist orders as of thus far?
Well, I'm in agreement with Mon, essentially. They're very annoying that this has to happen, but I know why they exist, but the laws are antiquated, and they need to change. I mean, they need to be updated to the 21st century. We need to have Creative Commons as a standard, and we need to have more flexibility here. We got to be, look, you should be allowed, the way it should work is that you should be allowed to make fan projects or parodies or what have you of a certain media franchise or show without any problems, as long as you don't make money off it. If you do, you should be required to get some kind of special permission, but you should still have a chance to do it if you can be eligible for that. But the way the laws are now, it doesn't work that way. and crap like this happens. Hasbro is not the real villain here. As much as I do not like them for doing this, they're forced to by U.S. copyright law, which says if you do not take this down, you do not issue a cease and desist, you will lose your trademark. And of course, they can't lose that because it means they lose all that profit margin, and they basically lose their hand on the program, which they don't want to do, obviously. And if I was in their shoes and I was forced to do this under the U.S. law, I would have to do the same thing, and I would do the same thing. I wouldn't like myself for doing it, and I'd be upset that I'm forced to, but I would do it anyway to protect my trademark. But the laws as they stand, they need to change, and this is very unfortunate, and I feel really bad for Jan Animations. I mean, you know, I think the worst part of this is the timing of it. The fact that it's happening now, after his popularity has sunk in, after Picture Perfect Pony and Buttons Adventures and Don't Mind at Night all went viral on YouTube, and he got all these views and all this attention and popularity. After panels at big cons like BronyCon and other cons that specifically focus on animation panels from the fan community. Not only does this affect Jan now, he's probably going to try to appeal it. I doubt he'll win because, you know, him against a big corporation in the U.S. law, the odds are not in his favor. But, you know, like, this not only affects Jan, but all the other fan animators out there are going to have to scratch their heads and wonder, well, wait, are they going to come after me next? What's going to happen now? Like, how far is this going to go? Are we literally going to see, like, other animators like Silly Philly Studios get a cease and desist? Is Animated James going to get a cease and desist? I mean, are we going to get to the stream where, like, you can't even make your own OCs with the pony generators because they violate their copyright law or something? I hope it doesn't get to that stream. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news or like be pessimistic about it, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did happen and got to that point. But as it is, it stinks. It's terrible. Some of us may or may not have ways to see the video offline, but a lot of people don't have that luxury. And a lot of people, unless it gets re-uploaded, will never get to see it again. And I think it's a huge loss, and it's a big travesty. And it makes me really mad, and it's not right.
No, it's definitely not right. And again, I can agree with what you said. As for me, I think, like, what the problem is here, and I know that Hasbro is kind of in the right here, but at the same time, not so much, because I know the law says that they have to protect their copyrights, but at the same time, there is the fair use laws, and technically everything that Jan was doing was within that guidelines. What I think happened, and it's a tragedy, but this is how most things go down, and it sucks, is companies like Hasbro hire these dumbasses that sit around, and all they do is go around and look for what they think involves, like, copyright infringement. That's what they're paid to do. They have very little communication with anyone at Hasbro at all. They just act on behalf of Hasbro's, like, oh, well, they told us to do this, so we're going to do it. This is what I think the case is with Jan Animations, because I think it's, what's his name, Mike Vogel. I could be pronouncing that wrong, but I think, like, Mike,
no, that's right. That's right.
Mike Vogel, one of, like, the main VPs or whatever from within Hasbro, is looking into the situation right now, because even he said that what Jan was doing was not inappropriate and technically counts as fair use. So it should be allowed because, like he said, I can't see, like, and this is somewhat of a direct quote, but he's like, I can't see why it would be such a bad thing, because not only are they getting free publicity for the show, but it's not inappropriate or vulgar, unlike the Princess Molestia thing, which, unfortunately, as much as, like, we didn't really follow that much, it still sucks that got taken down. But again, I can kind of see where they're coming from there, because as we've discussed earlier, I mean, it's natural that, like, there's going to be R34 of any fandom that you're in. Ponies is no exception. But the point is, it gives Hasbro a bad image if they start seeing it, and you know, they start to get worried. And I can see where they're coming from, but at the same time, I'm not going to agree. So my next question is, like, about the cease and desist. What do you guys think that us as bronies can do to send Hasbro messages to get our point across?
Yeah, I mean, the most obvious answer is, you know, it's what runs the world today. You got to hit them where it hurts. You got to hit them in the wallet. You got to boycott. But like most people have been saying, and I think a lot of I don't know any specific people exactly. I don't know if I can give any really specific names, but the general sense that I'm getting from, like, most brony celebrities, air quotes, is that they would probably think that we should, boycott, but boycott intelligently, not boycott and say like, oh, F you Hasbro, you're just a bunch of corporate machines, man. You're trying to keep us down. It's like, yeah, I mean, like, that's great, and like, don't like, but the thing is, like, the main point to get to come across, as much as it works against my temperament sometimes when it comes to these issues, is it really is more, you have a higher ground when you do act rationally, when you're taking on something like this. If you act rationally and you're well, I mean, I don't know about polite, if that I don't know if that's exactly the right word to use here, but if you're cordial, if you're at least sort of, courteous, you're not being overly vulgar, overly polemic against the corporation itself, that really shows you more, like, your image as a consumer to them, then sort of magnifies and makes you look like you're a rational consumer. They're going to take you seriously if you act in a certain way, and that, if you get perceived that way by the corporation, they're going to take you more seriously. They're going to say, oh, this guy means business. Like, yeah, he's not buying our stuff, but there's a good reason. We might have actually, flubbed things up. We might have actually dropped the ball here. Like, that's the main point to get across. I think that most Brony should know. Like, that, yes, it sucks. And yes, you're going to be angry, like I was, obviously, when I first heard about it. But you gotta let cooler heads prevail here. You gotta let your anger simmer a little bit, and sort of boil down and like get to a point where it's cool. You gotta let your head cool down, and then you just gotta go and give rational reasons why you're boycotting. And if you have to write an email, just when you're calm, write an email and give all the reasons, and like try to, be as specific as you can as to why you're boycotting, and make it clear to them that unless, you don't have to say that Jan Animations must be revived or something like that. You have to say, please make sure that your legal team in the future does not indiscriminately target people who the legal team, under arbitrary circumstances, thinks are threats to the copyright. You should tell them, inform them again about fair use policy with the copyright, and just, make sure that they have that clear in their head when they read your email.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree 100%, and I'm going to stress this enough. Guys, it's perfectly okay to be upset and completely enraged about what happened, because we all are. It is a travesty that this happened. But again, like Mon said, please just have the common courtesy to write a polite email and boycott by not buying their products. But don't go to stores and just be a full-on dick and like start protesting in front of stores about Hasbro products. Just, if you're a Brony, just for now, put your Hasbro purchases on hold, because as a whole, if we take a stand towards this and we all seriously like stop buying their products for a while, they're going to notice that it's affecting their profits. And once they start to notice that it's affecting their profits, they're going to start to rethink things. So we can make a difference. But again, we must be polite and courteous in doing so. Because if you start writing them emails like, I'm going to fucking kill you and blah, 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 that's only going to make us look bad as a fandom, and it's only going to make things worse. You're not going to get anywhere if you're not polite in your emails. Ed, anything you have to say on this subject?
This reminds me about what happened when Fighting is Magic got a cease and desist and that got taken down. And there was this big letter campaign, online email campaign to complain to Hasbro and write your thoughts about it. And unfortunately, I don't remember the total amount of people who actually participated in that, but it didn't really go anywhere. Like, I think we got, maybe at most 10,000 there wasn't that much organization about it. And in the end, they never brought Fighting is Magic back. Lauren Faust joined up with a team and they created something else that they're working on, not even pony related anymore. You know, this is a different case though, in the sense that it's not a game like replicating the use of characters from MLP. It's fan animation, so it should be a little bit easier to work with. But you know, I have no idea where this is going to go. Like, unfortunately, I mean, on the one hand, we bronies are very good at coordinating and working together to donate money to people in need, such as Michael Morones or like Grayson with the backpack or whoever, or the Bronies for Good charities. But we don't have as good a track record as a community banding together to protest things when Hasbro does something and actually succeeding. To my mind, as far as I know, we haven't been able to do anything on that thing. And then again, the odds are against us. They're a big corporation. We're just a bunch of fans, you know, however many we may be out there. And most people here, we're always telling them, yeah, let's protest and let's not buy Hasbro products for a while and send them emails politely telling them that we don't agree with this and we protest. But in the end, we never get that many numbers and it just falters and doesn't go anywhere. And I don't want to be pessimistic here. I'm trying to be a realist. But my feeling is that this is going to go and end up where Jan Animations is going to end up losing this, and he's just going to have to keep his videos offline, and we're going to have to deal with it and move on. I mean, I don't want that to be the case, but I have a sinking suspicion that's how it's going to end up. And for whatever reason, we can't ever seem to galvanize the community in large enough numbers to get Hasbro's attention in matters like this. We do it very well when it comes to helping people for charity or whatever, but when it comes with protesting and stuff like this, the fandom has, I think, a poor track record. I'm sorry to say. So I don't know if this is going to work in the end. I still say go ahead and send them an email and protest and try to organize something. I don't want to dismiss you by any means. Go ahead and do it. We should do it, but don't be surprised. Is all I'm saying is if it doesn't go anywhere in the end. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, I kind of know why the Fighting is Magic one didn't go anywhere, and unfortunately, I can't remember exactly who said this from Hasbro, but they didn't want the association of their characters in a violent manner. They didn't want them associated with the fighting game. So that's why Fighting is Magic, sadly, was scrapped. But thankfully, there was a leaked version of it, and with all the great people in the community, there are tons of variations of that game that you can get and you can play. Many different characters have been added. Online play has been added. It's a fully playable game. However, not completely developed by the main six anymore because, well, they had to stop work on it. But the game is still very much out there. You can get it if you know where to look. But unfortunately, like, the main six's version will never ever be, simply because, like I said, they don't want to be associated with fighting, which is kind of stupid. But I can see where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we've covered a fair bit of what's happened here. And I think we've addressed the issue enough. So let's get into the next subject. Because originally we were going to talk about like the swag and a few other things. But we'll put the swag on hold for now. So Ed, I'm glad that you mentioned about Michael Mirandis and Grayson. Because that's what I want to get into next. There has been a lot of reports recently, and ever since Bronies has been a thing about bullying and then, like, whatever. What do you guys think about this, and do you think there's anything we can do to prevent it?
You can go first, Ed.
Well, I have a lot to say about this. I remember when the Michael Morones case first came up. I've been following this since I first found out back in the end of January. So basically since it began, I've been following it on Tumblr. I've been tweeting about it, trying to retweet and help promote his situation. You know, like if you can't donate money, like at least you can do is promote it, retweet it, blog about it, get more attention. It helps them out. You know, I believe the last time I checked, they raised over $70,000 for Michael. So, like, this is one of the things to be very proud about being a Brony and being part of this community. Is that, like I said earlier, we have a very good track record of helping people in need, and we raise money very fast because we have this great coordination online, the social networks and whatnot. In regards to the bullying, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely unacceptable. I mean, we have a double standard in society where girls can watch, shows made for boys and nobody makes fun of it or talks about it, and they think it's okay. But when a guy watches anything that is even perceived, in most cases wrongly so, perceived that it is a girl's show only, they get teased about it and bullied. You know, Like, I remember when the Powerpuff Girls first came out. You know, everybody's like, "Oh, if you watch that show, Will, you're gay or whatever." But then when people actually sat down and watched it and it caught on, it became popular because people saw, yeah, the main characters are girls, but it's not a girly feminine show. They're awesome, they're cool, they're great role models. For girls and whatever, and they're great role models for anybody in a sense, because even though they're focused on main characters are all female, it's a gender neutral show, much like MLP is. You know, even though it's different in its own way. You know. So that obviously is unfounded criticism, but people are stupid and ignorant, especially in school. We all know how dumb kids are. And, you know, I very much know how this kid felt. I was bullied a lot when I was in public school, in elementary school, and middle school, for different reasons, of course, because, you know, that was years before MLP existed. But, you know, I was made fun of because of my looks. Back then, believe it or not, I was a short, chubby kid with really bad looking glasses. I'm since grown a lot taller now and whatever, and I have much better looking glasses, mind you, but that's not the point. But the point is I was made fun of for that, so I know how it feels to be bullied, and I can sympathize with him. You know, he was bullied for liking MLP, and that's wrong, and we need to have a talk about that as a society, and like really, like, you know, people should be able to allowed to like what they like without being judged. And frankly, since when does anybody care what somebody watches in the privacy of their own home? That's nobody's business. If they want to talk about, great. If they don't, whatever. Just because you watch MLP doesn't make you any less of a man or a woman or whatever. It just means that you like the show, and that's it. You know what? I mean, it doesn't matter in a sense of who you are as a person. You like something, great. It should not affect how you're viewed by other people. You know, and then unfortunately, he got to the point where he's so bullied, he tried to take his own life. And that's what's really disturbing about that particular case. Fortunately, he survived. He's been getting treatment in the hospital for months now, and he's slowly recuperating through therapy, days and days and hours of therapy. And through the graciousness and charitableness of the Brony community, we have given nearly $100,000 to this boy and his family. And that's something we should all be immensely proud of, and I'm very proud of that. In regards of the Grayson case, you know, that's just another issue. That's just complete stupidity right there. The bullies are picking on him because he carries a Rainbow Dash backpack around. You know, in this case, it's not as bad as Michael Morona's case in that he didn't take his own life. But instead of punishing the bullies, the school punished the victim, said, no. You're causing too much of a scandal in our school. We won't allow you to take your Rainbow Dash backpack to the school. So you just leave it at home, you know? And that's not how it works, you know? You're supposed to be punishing the bullies. Fortunately, because of all the news attention and Brony spreading the word, it got this massive attention across the media outlets. Everybody from one extreme, from one side, the Young Turks, all the way to Glenn Beck, of all people. Surprise there. I mean, everybody talked about this thing. I mean, that video amazed me. It's a whole other story. So much that I had to blog it, but that's another story. But I mean, if somebody like him can get it, then how can nobody else not get it? I mean, what is the problem with our society where it's okay to make fun of boys for liking MLP, but then we praise them and pat them on the back and say, "Oh, cool, you know, you're all gangster," or "Oh yeah, you know, like you're shooting up stuff, you got your gun and whatever." It's like, "Yeah, awesome explosions." Like, who says you have to if you want to be a man, you have to drink beer and, like, you know, watch stuff, a lot of explosions and violence or whatever, and like brag about how many girls you've nailed or whatever. That's a stereotype. You can be just as much of a man of watching MLP or any other show. But, you know, that's not how society works, unfortunately. But in the end, because of the media pressure, Ethan got not Ethan. I'm confusing. I got like 3 names on my mind.
You're confusing our
that's not even. I know that. That's not even what I was thinking about. I don't even know why that name came up. But like, what's his face? Grayson got his backpack back. And he's good now. So we won in this case. We should be so thankful for that and proud again, because we accomplished 2 victories here. We helped the Morona's family with all that money so he can get better, and he is getting better. And we helped Grayson get his Rainbow Dash backpack again. So in the end, he won and not the bullies. So pat on the back and brohoof to all you bronies out there, because we succeeded on that front. So it's not all bad news this week. So
yeah, I mean, I have to agree. And honestly, like, when I first heard about the Michael Moranis story, I was just like, wow, that's really, really, really terrible. I mean, I felt so bad for the kid. I mean, I can only imagine what he went through. I mean, it's not a nice thing to say, and I've already addressed it before, but coming from an ex-bully as myself, I know what it's like I know how these guys work, and I know what kind of screwed up mindsets they have. So when I heard that, it just made me think back to my own crappy past, and I was just like, wow, like, how many lives have I ruined? And it just makes me full of regret and whatever, which is why as soon as I found out about the story and I found out they were taking donations and whatever, I generously donated I think I donated like $50 or $60 to the cause just because I felt so sorry for the kid. As for the Grayson story, again, like it's retarded. Like the school was punishing him for just living his life. I mean, he was just trying to be a normal kid. Sure, he had a Rainbow Dash backpack. I mean, who wouldn't want a Rainbow Dash backpack? I mean, I'd love to have a Rainbow Dash backpack, and I'm 25. I'd walk down the street with a Rainbow Dash backpack. I don't care what people think. They want to make fun of me. I'll just be like, yeah, well, at least I'm a better person than you. Whatever. Mon, do you have anything to say about this subject, man?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do. As someone who was actually bullied about, I'm not even going to say like all the things I was bullied about because it would take up an entire list. And it would probably take an hour to explain alone. But let's just say this. I was bullied for some of the same reasons that Michael Moronis was bullied for. I was always made out to be like, for some reason, because I was more open to like, it's not even because of the shows I watched. It was just because of how I acted. You know, if no one, you know, most of you listeners out there don't know me, I'm not exactly a masculine man. Yeah, I have some attributes of, you know, masculinity in my personality. Like, yeah, I love a beer every once in a while. Well, a lot, I should say. I'll be honest.
Alcoholic.
But like I mean, yeah, I have masculine attributes of my personality. I like, I like action games. I love action movies, but at the same time, I like stuff that makes me think. I like stuff that makes me feel. I'm not afraid of that side of me. I hardly ever was when I was a child, and then never, like, I went through a phase where I sort of repressed that part of myself, but it didn't work out well in the end. Because let's just put it this way, guys, everybody listening out there, like, if anyone tells you not to be yourself, they're just being there's something wrong with them. They're not being themselves. They're afraid of some part of themselves. It's common, as much as I hate to say it, Freud was right. People project their own problems onto other people. Mm-hmm. They do. It's a way of coping with guilt and stress and all that other emotional baggage. And like, to get back to the main point, when I heard about the Michael Moronis thing, I'm like, I wasn't in the same exact situation as that kid, but I was so close to being that kid that I can have all the empathy in the world for him. And not to mention, like, I had sort of, it's going to sound weird, but I had a sort of premonition that this recovery was going to happen, because it just felt like similar to what happened. And mind you, these two situations are completely different, but someone in my high school, when I went to private school, when I was about 16, 17, in that age range, some kid a grade below me managed somehow to have a massive stroke, bad enough where he had to be on a respirator for or a respirator, ventilator, whatever the technical term is. But either way, he had to be, he couldn't breathe on his own for at least a few months. And mind you, there was an entire community behind him that was mostly religious and stuff. And I'll tell you straight out, even back then, I had more of an agnostic atheist leaning. But at the same time, I thought about that kid all the time. I thought, even though he wasn't bullied, I thought that kid better recover, because it's going to make all of us feel bad. Hell, I've known kids in my high school who have died just because of sheer, bad luck, because of illness and stuff. But I had like the fact that Michael Moronis did this to himself is honestly, like Flutter said, it's a travesty. It really is. I mean, when are most people in our society going to wake up and realize most of the stuff that has been put in our minds, like gender roles, you know, strict rigidity of gender itself, you know, a whole host of different issues. When are we going to realize that, yeah, those things made sense in the past because they weren't working off as much information as we are. They worked off of different standards. They worked off of standards that right now, I hate to say it, are primitive. They are literally primitive. They, you know, they don't apply anymore. They're antiquated. I mean, the thing is, people in society is evolving. And if our morality, our moral health doesn't catch up with our intellectual health, which is really actually very good. It's actually very, very good. And our technological health and our, you know, all that different stuff. If we don't catch up, we're in for a rude awakening eventually. We really are. Because something's got to give. When your morality dictates how you act. So if you can't catch up, if you can't operate in a good way, in an ethical way, as you know, is sort of, you know, if you can't catch up with the other things that are evolving in a, you know, in a moral sense, and sort of know how to deal with them, they're useless. It's all it is better, shinier stuff. If you don't know how to use it and you don't know how to use it properly, you're liable to set a fire. And I don't even mean that just literally. I mean that, you know, figuratively and literally. Like, we could literally destroy ourselves as a species just because we don't know how to act. And yeah, that sounded really apocalyptic and everything, but I don't know. That's just sort of how I approach the issue. Like, I thought, like, you know, my mind goes to those places in, you know, seconds, because I just think about that stuff all the time. And the fact that I saw it in something that I thought was a safe haven is just, it's really disheartening.
Yeah, it is, and I completely agree with everything that you just said. Like, a lot of people seriously need to wake up and start rethinking that, hey, maybe everything I've been told isn't exactly correct. So you gotta start, it's a question of, you can't believe everything you're told, because if I was to tell you right now that I'm a multi-millionaire, are you gonna believe me just on my word? Probably not, right? But that's a completely different thing. And again, like, it was horrible hearing about this story. And Michael and Grayson, if you ever hear this, like, you have the entire Flutter Brigade support. We support you guys. Michael, I hope you get well soon, dude, because you're gonna grow up and you're gonna be a very awesome person when you grow up. Grayson, the same goes to you, man. Don't let others get you down. Like Mon said, they are literally projecting themselves onto you. Trust me, I know. I'm a former bully myself. Anyways, with all of that out of the way, let's get into our actual topic for today, because our topic is supposed to be pony swag. And given the fact that we've already stated that you should not buy any Hasbro licensed merchandise for a while, that just leaves the fan-made stuff. So, Ed, I'm going to start with you, because I know for a fact that you have a lot of things to say about Equestria Plush. So take it away, Ed.
Well, most of the stuff, I mean, like, the protesting Hasbro thing isn't a problem for me at all, because I've never really liked most of the quality of their products anyway. And I'd say 90% of my stuff is custom designed by the fan base, with the exception of 12 blind bags I got when I was a very new Brony years ago, and I haven't got anything from Hasbro since, unless you count the DVD sets, which may or may not count. Well, then that's the only other exception. Aside from that, everything I have is fan made. You said Equestria Plus. Yeah, the reason he brings that up is because they're always like teasing and like saying, "Man, you shouldn't have paid $450 for that plush. You can get one cheaper on DeviantArt." And I'm like, well, I mean, I get that point, but like in the context of things, you have to understand. Like in this environment I was in, I'm in my first convention. Not to mention my first pony convention, and it's BronyCon, and I see a bunch of plushies, and then I see the Equestria plush place, and they're beautiful. They're beautiful plushies. They're the best by far that are available. And I knew from the get-go when I was traveling to Baltimore for the con, it's like the one important thing, if I get nothing else, I want a plush. I want a plushie. And I want a Twilight one. And I had already previously ordered a 4DE Twilight plush months before, but it had not come in yet, and it would not come in until months after the con. And at that point, I didn't think it was ever going to come in. So I decided I'm going to go and buy it. I walk up to the lady who designs them because she was actually there vending them. And I'm like, well, how much is the Princess Twilight plush? And she's like, $750. Like, okay, that's my entire merch budget plus $50 eating into my food budget. So I asked her, okay, how much is the regular Alicorn Twilight? $450. And it's like, take my money. I want it now. And the rest of the con, I was wearing Twilight on my shoulders, proudly carrying her around everywhere I was. I enjoyed it. It was one of my most favorite things of that. But they make an awesomely designed, really high quality plushies from Equestria Plush. If you're willing to shell out a decent amount of money for it, they have all the main sticks and more. Other swag merch I got. I have 9 pony shirts. I have 9 pony shirts, and I also have most of them come from I would say about most of them come from Redbubble and a few from We Love Fine. So about 9 total. I plan to buy 6 more before going to BronyCon again this year. I collect the comic books. I collect all the MLP comic books. The IDW ones, the main series, Microcom. Now the Friend Beverage side series. I have seasons 1 through 3 plus Equestria Girls on DVD. Let's see what else. I have a ton of pictures, MLP pictures on PS3 and PC. I got about a 5 or 6 hour long playlist of pony music on my PS3. And I have I bought 62 stickers a few months ago to put on my walls in my room. I ordered from Redbubble. So, and I have some MLP trading cards as well. Not the CCG series, but the trading cards. And then, of course, I have the Equestria plush, Alicorn Twilight plush, the 4DE Twilight plush, and I have one of the BronyCon OC plushes, Hoofbeats. I plan to get the other 2 this year. So I would say, and I have a Future Twilight keychain and a Twilight wristband. Other than that, I would say that covers all of my my pony swag pretty much. If I had to guess, I'd say I have a little bit over $2,000 in pony merch. Again, 90% of that from the community. Because I've never really been into the Hasbro made stuff, but I would say that's about what I have merch wise. So, Mon, if you want to talk about what you have,
mostly what I dabble in and what I kind of buy the most is, or at least the most so far, is either T-shirts or prints. And the thing is, most of the prints that I've gotten are all fan made. I mean, I think actually they all are. I have them all here, right here in my room. And yeah, I don't see a Hasbro licensed one here. And actually there's the one Enterplay one, but that's not Hasbro. So yeah, I don't have any Hasbro. I mean, I do have Hasbro merch, but as far as the merch that really matters to me, I mean, I have blind bags, but who cares about the blind bags that much anymore? I guess what I'll say about the merch that I do have is that most of it, honestly, in terms of prints, comes from mainly one artist, and that one artist is Grenader. And I don't know if I'm even pronouncing that right, because it's technically Grenader or something like that. But either way, I'll post it on my site, and I'll post it on the Flutter Brigade website, so you guys have clarification if you do need it. Because he is a really good artist. You should check him out. And I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of, I think, 14 or so So half of them really are from one artist. The rest of them are from various artists like Selby Yoshi. I forgot how the guy's name is pronounced, but this brother of an artist from Canada named, I think it's GIE or something like that. Something along those lines. I know she was at CanterlotCon. I'll definitely link her DeviantArt and Tumblr. I think she has one. When I do get the chance to, but I have like one print by Seven Knights, who hasn't done much in the fandom in the last few months or so, but he's still sort of active. And Selby Yoshi, I have other stuff by him, John Hosenko, just a bunch of various artists. And like Ed, I do have t-shirts. I think I am actually beating Ed. For now. I think the last time I counted, it was 13 or so. I might be wrong on that, but I get them from various different artists. I've gotten at least half of them from Redbubble, and I can't list off all the artists because I legitimately don't remember some of them. I'd have to really dig through my purchase history to actually. Yes, one of them is actually from our own Fluttershy 1989. The Coco Pomel shirt, you should definitely buy it. Just saying. But what else? Yeah, I mean, a lot of them are from We Love Fine, which is all fan-made content. So, yeah, I can't say that I have much by Hasbro themselves. And if I had to estimate how much I put into merch, it probably isn't as much as Ed, but it's probably in the ballpark of $1,000, so 1,000 to like 1,500 maybe. So I've spent a decent amount.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that you guys are merchaholics. But
Yeah.
By the way, thanks for letting me be the host and all, because I asked about plushies, and then you guys babbled on about everything. I was just like, I'll let them talk. But jeez, guys, you make me so very, very angry. I wish I could just punch you through the mic right now, but not really, not really, of course, because I am not like that. But in terms, hey, be quiet. But getting back on track here, guys, we do have a podcast to do. We're professionals here. Yeah, right.
Yes.
but okay, in terms of merchandise, I don't really have a lot of Brony made content. I know it's kind of
Gasp.
kind of a shocker there, but I'll get to it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I gotta get yet that's on my wish list, and a lot of it, in fact, not a lot of it, all of it that is on my wish list right now is all Brony made content, so we'll get to that. But for what I do have right now, I have all of the brushies for the main 6. I have the CMC brushies. I've got the Royal Castle Friends brushies. I've got those squeezable ones. I can't remember the name of them right now. I think they're called Fleshums or something.
Yep.
Sounds like Fleshlight, but it's not as disturbing. What?
Oh dear.
I've got so many blind bags that I'm running out of places to put them. I mean, I had to give a bunch to my sister just because I had so many doubles, and now she's got like blind bags all over her room, even though she only cares about Rarity because she's crazy.
Oh dear.
And before the Rarity fans hate me. No, I'm just kidding.
That is the worst possible thing!
In terms of plushies, as it stands right now, I have 6. Now, you're probably thinking that, yeah, I have the main 6. But no, you'd be wrong. I have 4 of the main 6. My Fluttershy is a fan-made plushie. I can't remember who the seller was, and I don't think they're selling them anymore. My Rainbow Dash, Pinkie Pie, and Rarity are all Aurora plushes, and they're actually pretty decent quality for the price. I got a Luna plush, which is really huge. And
Luna Brothers.
Yeah, Luna Brothers.
She's all right.
No, it's a really nice plush. I mean, for $60, I'm really happy with the quality. I mean, I got it from some seller in China. So my first thoughts was, okay, for $60, it's probably not going to be that great. But in the end, like, Mon can back me up on this one because he has the same one. It's a damn good
I forgot
plush.
to mention that.
Damn good plush for the price.
Yeah.
Then I have the Mutant Mudkip Spike, which is a bootleg from China. I got that at Canterlot in the charity auction. Then for other merch, I have the Fluttershy vinyl, the Derpy vinyl, Princess Cadence, which I don't even know why I bought her. I guess it was just for the amusement because she sings "Love Is in Bloom" or whatever it is she does. Plus, I find it amusing that if you touch the button on her flank, she giggles a lot, and I find that I find that amusing because I'm weird. I just made myself sound really horrible in front of a public audience. Then I have, I've got, like, the entire card set with the exception of the promos. I've got the entire first series and second series without the promos. I do have a couple of the promos. And then I have MLP betting. I've got a lot of friggin' pony stuff. I mean, I could talk on and on and on, but whatever. I got pins from Canterlot from the same person that Mond already mentioned, Jari or whatever. Gi. We'll put a link in the description because I can't pronounce the name. I was never good in that sort of thing because I'm not smart. I mean, I pretty much just told everyone that I like to press the button on Cadence's flank.
Tisk, tisk, tisk. 50 years dungeon, right now.
Flutters is just a man of simple pleasures.
Yes, very much so. All I need is a button and a giggle, and I am happy.
Anyway.
Okay, now.
Oh boy, we are way off track here, and this is probably going to be one of the more funniest podcasts we've released in a while. But anyways, to get back on track and to get away from the swag, let's get into something that we would have done at the beginning of the show. Let's go into the episode review, and of course the latest episode is To Whom the Sweetie Belle Toils. So, guys, what was your thoughts about that episode?
Ed can go first because I obviously have a bias that everybody knows about. No, I'm just kidding. I'd rather let Ed go first though. Like, just I don't know. I just want him to go first.
Yeah, well, obviously I liked the episode. I didn't love it as much as Mon did because he gave it a higher score than I did, but I still give it a fairly high score. Nothing really stuck out for me that much from the episode. It was a nice episode. I mean, I feel in some ways we've been here before with Sweetie Belle and Rarity, but in another side of things we haven't. So it was a little bit different, and it was a little bit different. And we did make progress between the two of them after Sisterhood Social in season 2. I found it interesting that we saw a side of Sweetie Belle we don't often see very much. It's a side where she actually is angry, genuinely angry, and with her sister out of all ponies, right? Because she feels that she's being shown up by Rarity's amazing fashion talent when her and the other CMC put on that play, and nobody notices anything they did except that, oh, wonderful dresses you guys wore. And it's like, obviously Rarity's one who made them. So Sweetie Belle is trying to do something on her own, to stick out, to stand out, find her place in the world. And she sees Rarity taking all the spotlight, unintentionally, of course. And so this is why she gets so upset with Rarity over that. And then cue the dream sequence where Luna comes in, I mean, we've only seen her in the season premiere so far. This is the first time we've seen her in her role as the Dream Walker since season 3 with Sleepless in Ponyville. This time, of course, dealing with Sweetie Belle and her problems. Once again, we see Luna playing the role of guide for a young filly, trying to help her through a life situation or teach her a lesson through observation and gentle prodding and guidance. And then Sweetie Belle goes back in time and sees what happened at her 5th birthday party about how really what she saw was out of context. Rarity was trying to keep all her guests to stay at the party because Sweetie Belle saw that one scene and viewed it out of context as Rarity, taking all the glory, and she went up in her room like crying for most of the day. And by the time she was ready to come down, all the guests had been waiting so long, they were ready to go. And Rarity's actually trying to help Sweetie Belle by blocking the door and say, hey, wait a minute, I've got all these other goodies for you. Try to keep yourselves busy in a way to try to help, buy time for Sweetie to finally come down. Of course, she never did, but Sweetie didn't realize until now that she was viewing it out of context, and her perception about Rarity wanting to take away all the attention from her and put it on herself, the spotlight, was completely wrong and misguided. And then she sees a vision of a possible future if she never, changes her ways and like apologizes for what she's done and fixes what she did after she ruined Rarity's outfit. Then we see vision.
That was freaky. I just have to say that. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, no. It was. It was, that whole dream sequence was trippy. I love the visuals. It's one of the pros that I gave for the episode. Great, beautiful visuals. Megan McCarthy did not disappoint when she said that was going to happen. And that whole dream sequence was really beautifully animated. And I love how it got that dark tinge to it towards the end of the episode where we see a vision in the future where Rarity is like, she gives up her dresses because she's been rejected by Sapphire Shores after the outfit is a failure, because Sweetie Belle didn't make it in time to fix it, and so she becomes a shut-in. She doesn't want to make dresses for anybody, not even her friends. We saw Fluttershy having a closed door closed in her face because Rarity doesn't want to do anything anymore. So it got really dark there for a minute. But in the end, of course, with the help of Appleluma, Scootaloo, Sweetie Belle, and Luna, all of them working in conjunction, especially Luna, because she played the key role of helping Sweetie Belle fix the outfit and redesign it to appeal more to Sapphire Shores. In the end, they were able to get it to her in time. All ended well. Sapphire was happy with it, and Rarity and Sweetie Belle patched things up. Overall, like I said, it was great to see Luna return, and always like when we have these character interactions, the sisterly bond and that focus. And it was also interesting to see Sweetie Belle kind of being angry for once, when we're used to her always being kind of like the sweet, happy, carefree, filly that we usually see. So that was nice to see, interesting to see that side of her. Sapphire Shores was one of the cons. I don't really like her character. I find her annoying for some reason. I don't know if it's the voice or whatever, but I've never really cared for her character. Although it was interesting seeing her return after 3 seasons of not being around. I never expected this to happen again. But there's all these surprises this season. The writers keep throwing at us, so anything's possible. But if we could get Sapphire Shores back, writers, Gilda, where is she? I want her back now. Anyway, getting back on topic. Getting back on topic, I give the episode an 8.2 out of 10, which is significantly lower than what Mon gave it, but it's still a fairly high review. To put it in context, it's a lot better. I liked it a lot better than Some Ponies to Watch Over Me, but it wasn't quite as good as Mod Pie, so it was in the middle for me there. But it was a good episode. Nothing really super memorable about it, but no real issues with it either. So it was a good episode, decent.
Yeah, it was definitely a really good episode. I myself gave it a 9 just because I thought it was so well good. And one of the things that I liked about it the most was a couple things. We got to see Sweetie Belle using magic again, which shows that she's growing and she's actually learning. So the stuff that Twilight's teaching her is slowly sticking. So it's a good thing to see Sweetie Belle using magic because it's just good character development. And of course, being the Luna brother that I am, having Luna on screen it's just the best, because Luna is the best princess and always will be.
That's disputable, but okay.
No. Luna is the best princess. Twilight.
Second best.
No.
Heretics shall be banished.
Yeah. But overall, I mean, you pretty much covered everything that I was going to say. I mean, it was unusual to see Sweetie Belle that angry, but then again, we did kind of see it way back in Sister Who Social when she was upset with Rarity, but not to the same level as it was in this episode. I mean, this episode took it to a whole new ball game, and it was good to see some more darker elements, like that whole dream sequence when it got dark. That was awesome. I mean. Yeah. I don't know, it's just something about it. It just reminded me of one of those classic horror movies, and I was just like, damn, this is sweet. But that's just because I've always been a fan of horror, and that's just me. What else can I say? I can't say anything, so Bond, you gotta take it over, man.
Okay. So get ready for your Luna worship session, everybody. No,
I'm always ready.
Anyway,
Yawn!
no, I keyed. Anyway, But seriously, I gave the episode a very, very, very high review. As most of you who do follow Alicorn Radio know, I always put my written reviews out, and this one was actually the longest one to date. I will admit, some of what I reviewed was sort of my own headcanon, but yeah, I do realize, unlike some other reviewers in the fandom, that my headcanon isn't actually canon. But either way, to sum it up in different categories, I'll start with Rarity and Sweetie Belle's interactions. Overall, I really didn't see a lot of problems with how Dave Polsky set up the entire episode primarily, centering around those two. Because, I mean, as much as I love Luna, yeah, it wasn't about her. So, to be honest, like, it's a sort of an unequal standard to hold, like, something like Some Pony to Watch Over Me against this episode. I should probably compare it a little bit more, but that's the first thing that came to mind. I sort of thought, like, those two are polar opposites in terms of how they're staged. And what I mean by staged is just how sort of how authentic and how true to life everything seemed in terms of how the characters are positioned in relation to each other, and in terms of their situations, and in terms of, like, even where they are, just like all those different, like, aspects. I thought with Some Pony to Watch Over Me, as opposed to what's this episode called? For Whom the Sweetie Belle Toils. I should remember that.
You fail.
I know, right? But yeah, and with Some Pony to Watch Over Me, I sort of thought, like, it felt like the character interactions were really contrived. It was like, we know Applejack, yes, she is very protective of family, but it just felt authentic. And if you really want to know why, go to my review. It's the best, it's the best thing to do, because I'm not going to waste time putting that in this review. But anyway, that the polar opposite of that is this episode that we just had. And that's because every situation seems like it could happen in real life in the same order, and not seem like it's just like fate, or it's contrived, or it's, preordained, like that some hand was behind it. It feels organic. And, like, the fact that, like, Sweetie Belle, because think of how we start with the episode. We start with Sweetie Belle absolutely eager to, help out Rarity. And she's not holding any animus against Rarity. She's in fact saying, Rarity, help me make this dress. I don't know how to. And, like, when Rarity looks at those dresses, she's like, oh my God. I mean, that literally is the look on her face. You can't argue with that. But anyway, the main point is that I just felt like not only did the staging seem authentic, but it was an interesting change of pace, as all three of us have said so far, and me being the last one to confirm it. Yes, seeing Sweetie Belle mad and jealous is what made this episode a lot different, and I thought that change of pace was a good thing. I thought that actually seeing her jealous, when honestly you see her in most other episodes, like Babseed and all the other ones where, like, the CMC are sort of getting into trouble, you always see her as like, oh, we should tell this person. And then, like, literally think about how Scootaloo and Apple Bloom acted in Babseed. They're always like, no, we can't tell our older sisters / whatever, our idols. We can't admit that we're wrong. But Sweetie Belle is always the one who has, like, the more, I guess, level-headed approach. But, like, to see her in a different light is a nice change of pace. And I thought that was one of the great things about the episode. Now, to get to the part where I get a little bit fanboyish.
Oh, dear.
Yes, I really I know, right? I when I knew that this was where Luna was sort of going to return from the season premiere, I was like, yes, this is going to be a good episode. I know it. And like, honestly, when I looked back at my reaction there, I thought, yeah, I am biased. Whatever. But when I think about it now, like if as a like sort of more of an impartial analyst as I can be, admittedly, I don't think I'm completely impartial, but as to the extent that I can be, I thought that even Luna got some character development here. I mean, not only have we solidified the trend that we've seen since season 3, which is that Luna is sort of solidifying her role as sort of like the CMC, the next generation's Celestia, almost. Like, she is the guardian. She is the one who will guide that generation in the same way Princess Celestia guides the main 6. Not to say that Celestia doesn't guide the CMC, but it's in a different way, you know. Nevertheless, I thought there was an interesting part in the episode that I kind of latched on into and developed a headcanon, although I won't go into that headcanon. Again, read the review. The thing I thought was, like, the fact that Luna brought up like obliquely, you know, like in a very you know, not direct way, was, you know, she said, yeah, I went through the same thing, Sweetie Belle. I had a sister who I literally tried to kill because I was so jealous of, you know, her shining, literally, you know, more brightly than I do. And the fact that she's able to admit that, and like that she is, you know, admittedly, like, she is showing remorse was a good thing to see. And like, I guess, yeah, the main thing that I wanted to say was the headcanon, but I'm definitely not going to go into that because that would take way too long to actually explain. So yeah, again, go to the Elkhorn Radio site. If you have the time, just go to like about the middle of my review and you'll see what the conjecture I had was. But overall, yeah, again, to just sum it up, thought Sweetie Belle and Rarity, their interactions seemed very organic, and so did, like, even, you know, Luna and Sweetie Belle and everything else like that. Like, all the character actions seemed fluid, organic again. But, you know, I guess the only things that soiled the episode for me were very, very, very minor. And I think the really only major one is that, like, something happened with the voice acting near the end. I think most of you out there noticed, but we don't know if that's Tabitha or not doing Luna in her last actual line. And, you know, me and Flyers were debating this way before the podcast even started, and we won't get into that now, but it's
why not?
because we have 2 hours. We bore our listeners, but anyway, that it was just a minor little detail that I thought, I don't know why they did that like that. It's sort of like, you know, to make a literary example, it's like having some guy, like, it's like having you know, Jack, like, say we have a character named Jack, and like it says, well, Jack said this, but then it said, like, you have a misspelling on Jack, like, in the next line. It's sort of like that. It's like it seems misattributed. It seems weird, but honestly, in the end, it's not enough to soil the episode. It's not even close. So my final rating was a 9.85 out of 10. And if you guys are wondering where that other 0.15% went for me, I have no clue.
So nobody else besides me isn't really that much of a fan of Sapphire Shores. Like, everybody else is okay with her or whatever. I mean, like,
Fine.
I don't know. She just annoys me for some reason. I don't know what it is. I never really cared for her.
I really don't see any problems with her because she's nothing more than a minor character that's only there once in a while to help out Rarity by buying dresses and stuff. Well,
Yeah.
as we found out, Rarity is now her lead costume design, so at least we know what happened with that from way back in season 1. Because I was always kind of curious, like what happened with it, but now we know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
after what happened way back in a Dog and Pony show, because that's where she first appeared. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we finally get some closure on that. There's yay for continuity. This season does it really well.
yeah, I mean, this season has definitely been the best, as we've already discussed, for continuity and bringing up old episodes. But there is one thing that came to mind while Mon was talking, and I don't even know why it popped back into my head, but one more thing that I really enjoyed from the episode, and this is going to sound really weird, but I really enjoyed when Luna was skipping on the star pathway. That, to me, was just absolutely amazing. However, it was missing some sound effects. Because if she had been, like, singing something while skipping, it would have made it all the more better.
It would have. You have to have that background music, like like something like that.
Yeah, or just la 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 la. Or dee 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 dee. I don't even know where I'm
Something
going.
very cheery. You needed that.
It would have made it like all complete, and I know that's a very horrible pun right there, but I don't know. It was still a really, 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 really put together episode, and it's always nice to see Luna on screen because, again, best princess.
Well, to me, she's second best. I mean, like, I understand why a lot of bronies love her. I mean, she's got all this appeal and she's mysterious, and, we can relate to her because she's not entirely sure of herself and, like, confident in being as a princess, and she's more relatable that way, and she looks cool and all that, and she's Princess of the Night. I get that. But, one thing, going off on a tangent, like especially with the most recent episodes, we're getting a lot of sister episodes, a lot of like family like bonding episodes, but
Right.
It always brings back to my mind, they've addressed in some way or another everybody's family or parents, with the exception of Fluttershy. When are they going to get on that? Because I think now it's more obvious than ever. Like, yeah, we know AJ's parents, they never actually explicitly said it, but they basically confirmed behind the scenes writers, those stars were meant to represent her parents, but they are long since passed away. And we've seen Rarity's parents here and there, and Twi's parents a couple of times. And, actually, Rainbow Dash, we haven't seen any family either, so I'm wondering if we're ever going to get some. What's up, her dad? Her dad. We don't know about her mom. We don't know if she has siblings. But Fluttershy, I think, more importantly, we don't know anything about her family. So I think this is an opportunity that at some point the writers should address, because I think it would be missed. I mean, it doesn't have to have a whole episode about it, but at least like bring it up. Like, what happened? Why do we not know anything about them? That the more we see episodes like this recently, I think it becomes more obvious to me that we haven't seen that yet, and I'm just wondering if we're ever going to see that.
Well, who knows what season 5 will bring, because we still... Yeah. I mean, we already know at this point season 5 is confirmed, so it's just a matter of what's that going to bring us? What does the future hold? I don't know. I really don't, because I can't predict the future. If I could, I'd be like a multi-millionaire right now, because I'd bet on every single like winning lottery number and be like, give me. No.
If I had to guess, in season 5, we'll see the Cutie Mark Crusaders get their cutie marks, rainbow power, and my OC finally becomes a part of the main cast. So yeah.
Yeah, right.
Right.
The day your OC becomes a main part of the show is the day hell freezes over. You have a better chance of scoring with a chick than you ever do of getting your OC.
It's like what the hub motto is. It could happen.
I don't think so, Ed. I really don't. I don't know what else we should talk about here. I mean, we still got a lot of time.
Well, you guys want to plug in that you'll be going to some future conventions? Because I know you've only blogged about it, but you never really said anything about it.
Honestly, at this point, we might as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, who wants to start?
I'll go first, seeing as how I call myself the host and all. I forgot what I was going to say. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, like was just brought up, like me and Mon, at least, will be attending Con Bravo this July. It's July 18th to the 20th, and Con Bravo is not necessarily a pony convention. It's more of like a sci-fi video game, like pretty much everything nerdy, everything that you could want, nerdy-wise. There will be pony stuff. Me and Mond will be there for the 3-day experience, and that's I'm really looking forward to that because then I get to bug Mond in person again, and that's always awesome. I'm just kidding. Mond's an awesome guy. I think from what little I remember of him, because he's so short. No, sorry, man, I can't let you live it down.
I know.
But and then, well, Canterlot Con, we don't know when it's going to be yet. We just know that it's going to be in November. The dates haven't been released, but we will be at that, and potentially, if everything works out and we're still podcast when that happens. I hope we are anyway. I mean, I'm sure we can do it, but we hope to have a live panel at that one, which will be pretty good. So that's pretty much all I have to say about that. The only other thing that I have to mention that's happened in the recent week here, I should say, because a lot's happened and with this Brigade and this podcast. I mean, not only did we get syndicated on Alicorn Radio last week, but then we now have our own Twitter, which is Flutter Brigade on Twitter. And then not only that, but recently we just launched our own website, which is flutterbrigade.com. So you might want to check out both our Twitter and our website for all of the latest and upcoming Flutter Brigade news, because that is where it will be. Mon, do you have anything to share?
Okay, so in terms of conventions, I am going to 3 this year. One is unconfirmed, but I do plan on going to Canterlot Con if I am able to, especially if we have a panel. But the other 2, as Flutters has already said, I am going to Con Bravo. I'm going to be there. I plan on handing out my own personal business cards because I did make those. So yeah, I mean, like, if you guys even care, and you're going to those conventions, try to find me. I'm a little bit short, but you should be able to find me. But either way, I'll be at Con Bravo and I will be at BronyCon. I will definitely be at BronyCon, and I don't know how much I'll be doing there. It's going to depend on a few different factors that I can't quite disclose, but different things that are just going to be going on. And
sounds sketchy.
I know, right? But overall, yeah, I'll be going to those 3 conventions. And another thing that I do want to say is that one, since we are on the Alicorn Radio band right now, the Alicorn video, I should say, live stream, guys, if you guys are listening out there, we, Ethan and I and all of the other staff at Alicorn Radio, we need talent. We need people with original ideas. We need people who can do various different things, and we need help. We need to get Alicorn Radio, on its feet again, because we've had a little bit of a decline in traffic. But overall, I do want to say, again, if you can find me on Twitter and you are one of my followers and you are actually here, please don't hesitate to tweet me. I will tweet out offers for people, and I will direct you to Ethan. If you do need, if you're passionate about the fandom, if you want to do different things, because let's just put it this way: if you go to the podcast that Ethan recently did, I forgot if it's No Hoofing Around or something. I forgot what exactly it was called. But anyway, we need people. We need artists. I don't think we need writers right now. So, I mean, you're out of luck if you do writing. But we could use contributors too. I mean, that would help. And, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a big name or if you're a small name. If you're not even known, if you're just a regular brony, hey, you can still do something to help this station out. And you could be a part of something that's, that could potentially make make it big. I mean, we, think about it. This is on Ponyville Live's, list of radio stations. The main point is you help out the radio station, but think about what you could, you're going to be a part of something bigger. Just, if you're interested, just come to me. I have all my information on my site, ep4mon.com. And if you want to go to Ethan, just, there's a bunch of different Twitter accounts that he runs. Ethan Powell, what else? Alicorn Radio, Alicorn Video. Yeah, Alicorn Radio, Alicorn Video, all those different various Twitter, Twitter handles. Just get to us. Like, we need people. We want you guys. You guys in the Brony community are amazing. We could really use you guys.
Without a doubt. I mean, Alicorn Radio definitely could use the help right now. I mean, we were lucky enough, and I still got to thank Ethan and Mon for helping us get syndicated on Alicorn Radio in the first place. I think that's awesome. I really didn't expect our podcast to take off quite like it did, but I'm happy that it did. So.
Yeah, in regards to the convention, sorry, if you want to shut up.
Well, basically, what I want to say is I want to thank everyone who is watching us right now, and everyone who's going to watch us on YouTube. We do this because we love doing it, and we love doing it for you guys. And it's you guys that make us feel more motivated to keep doing it. So again, thank you if you're a subscriber of mine, if you're listening on Alicorn Radio right now, or if you're just listening on YouTube right now. Thank you so much for watching our video.
Absolutely. No, I mean, I was just going to say, like, expanding upon the CanadaCon thing, They do plan to go. Unfortunately, none of the conventions that we'll be going to will all three of us be there at once. Due to long distance issues and logistical issues, that won't be possible. But at any given convention, there will be two of us attending at least one of these. In regards to CanadaCon, I cannot make it as money issues and saving for BronyCon and all that stuff. But if we do have a panel and everything works out there, I will be there with them live through Skype if we can get that panel done. So I would be there in that sense. In regards to conventions, I'm going to. Unfortunately, in my line of work, I do not have the luxury or the time to be able to go to a lot of conventions, so I can only really do one a year. So I focus on basically the biggest one that I can go to, which is BronyCon. I went to BronyCon last year, but this was way before we had this podcast or way before any of us were doing anything like semi-important or website related or whatever. I mean, but I will be returning to BronyCon again this year. And you can, me and Mond will be there. So if we're, I'm assuming we'll still be having our show by then. If you happen to know of us in any way, feel free to come meet us in person. Brohoof or whatever. Talk. I mean, we're regular bronies just like you guys are. We're always happy to meet new people. And yeah, I mean, looking forward to that. And I just hopefully we can get things going here and have that panel at CanadaCon and all of that. And once again, like they've already said, thank you so much for hosting us here on Alicorn Radio and all our listeners. This is all because of you. We do this because we have fun talking about it, but you guys motivate us to continue as well. So we can't thank enough all of our listeners, Alicorn Radio, and everybody. In just short of a month, we've been able to be syndicated on here and go this far. We never imagined that, and we're very grateful and appreciative of that. So thanks again, guys. So we all look forward to seeing you at our various conventions. So if you're going to Con Bravo, like they said, you can meet Mon and Flutters there, or CanadaCon, you can meet them there. And if you're going to BronyCon, Mon and I will be there. So if you know us and you see us, feel free to say hi and whatever. And we look forward to all those upcoming events. Should be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, without a doubt. So I think it's time to call it a wrap, guys, because we're pushing the hour and 20-minute mark. So again, thanks to everyone who was listening live. And please join us again next week where we're going to take you back to the past. And no, it's not to play the shitty games that suck ass, because that's somebody else. But, but we are going to take you back to the past because next week is going to be a very good and very special episode. We're going to cover Season 1 as a whole. So thank you and good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.